2022 is almost over, so we thought we would take time to look back at some of the biggest stories of this year. Phyllis Smith has a recap.
2022 started with West Virginia Governor Jim Justice getting COVID. He delivered his State of the State address in written form due to being sick. Rob Cornelius was reinstated as the chair of the Wood County Republican Executive Committee after a judge ruled in his favor. Wood County Schools Superintendent Will Hasafluck took the job as Jackson County Schools Superintendent when Blaine Hess retired. Christy Willis became the new Wood County Schools Superintendent. Marietta City Schools Superintendent Will Hampton took another job as Alexander Local Schools Superintendent. Brad Silvis replaced him as the new superintendent of Marietta City Schools. Ritchie County Schools Superintendent Jim Brown left to become the West Virginia School Board Executive Director, and April Hott became the new superintendent. On the topic of superintendents, Pleasants County Superintendent Michael Wells was named Superintendent of the Year in West Virginia in June. Captain Matthew Board was promoted to Parkersburg Police Chief in April when Joseph Martin retired. Sergeant Catherine Warden was sworn in as Marietta's new police chief in June after Rodney Hupp retired. Belpry's new police chief, Michael Stump, was sworn in September after Terry Williams retired. St. Mary's police chief, Bill Stull, retired in January, and Robert Hall became the new chief. Meigs County Sheriff Keith Wood resigned in November, and Scott Fitch became the new sheriff. Dr. Chris Gilmer announced in July he was leaving West Virginia University at Parkersburg to lead WVU Potomac State College. Tori Jackson took over as president. Todd Boucher was inducted into the Ohio APME Hall of Fame in April after working at WTAP for over 4 decades. There were several trials this year. William Nutter was sentenced to 16 years in prison for killing his brother. Madison Wine will serve 2 life sentences for killing her adoptive parents in a house fire in Davisville. Elsa Thompson's family was awarded $5.4 million from AEP in April for a wrongful death lawsuit. Desiree Roberts was sentenced to 15 years in prison for first-degree robbery in connection to the death of Terrence Mills, Jr. Victor Lee Thompson was sentenced to life in prison without parole for killing Darren Salam. Nathaniel Becker was sentenced to 8 years and 1 month in prison for pipe bombs found on tugboats on the Ohio River. Oscar Hernandez Diaz and Isaac Hernandez Diaz were charged with fatally stabbing Abraham Olvera at this apartment in Marietta. Derek Taylor was charged with Corey Friend's murder in March. Former Parkersburg City Councilman Eric Barber was sentenced in June to 45 days in jail for participating in the January 6th Capitol riot. A man named Devin Taylor was killed in an officer-involved shooting on State Route 339 in May. A man named Franklin Phillips was shot in a standoff with police in Waverly in June. He was released from the hospital and arrested. The Pleasants Power Station went up for sale in March. There was a buyer, but they backed out. Vienna City Council voted in March to close its pool for the season to work on safety upgrades. Parkersburg City Council can no longer say the Lord's Prayer during meetings after a judge's ruling in May. The National Weather Service confirmed a derecho happened in the Mid-Ohio Valley on June 13th into the morning of June 14th. World War II veteran Herschel Woody Williams died on June 29th. He was the first West Virginian to lie in honor in the rotunda of the U.S. Capitol. There was an explosion at the Eco USA silicone recycling plant in Parkersburg in July. No one was hurt. The Memorial Bridge was shut down while being rehabbed due to safety concerns and is expected to open again in fall 2023. September began with the return of the backyard brawl between the West Virginia Mountaineers and the University of Pittsburgh. Other events like the Taste of Parkersburg, Downtown Throwdown, and the Battle Against Cystic Fibrosis football game returned after COVID postponed them for a few years. Problems continued for Ohio Valley University. Since the school shut down, former students and alumni are having trouble accessing their official transcripts. Governor Jim Justice signed new legislation into law restricting abortion in mid-September. 2 pilots died when a small plane crashed into a car dealership's lot in Marietta in October. All 4 amendments on the ballot in West Virginia are defeated in November. The Wood County Library levy passed. The Belpre City Schools levy did not pass. Shane Lyons was fired as West Virginia University's athletic director in November. Williamstown High School won the Class Single A state football championship game at Wheeling Island in December. Parkersburg South High School lost to the Huntington Highlanders in the playoff game for the Class AAA state championship. Parkersburg attorney Justin Raber was charged with violating misconduct rules for lawyers by the West Virginia Lawyer Disciplinary Board for his role in the Slow Down for the Holidays program in Pleasant County. Police are looking for a missing woman from Vienna named Gretchen Fleming. A person of interest has been identified in the case, but the person's name has not been released by police yet. These were some of the biggest stories that happened in 2022. Thank you for watching WTAP, and we'll see you in 2023. In Parkersburg, Phyllis Smith, WTAP News.
We mentioned earlier in the broadcast an update to the investigation regarding Gretchen Fleming's disappearance we received from law enforcement earlier this evening. Those details can be found on WTAP.com.